There was an incident this year where we were watching The Boys, and Billy Butcher in the show, he has a favorite word that's a cuss word. A certain word got into the video, and YouTube just clamped down hard on us for like a month and a half. Every video that we posted had to go through a human check. So we would post a video, and then it wouldn't be like good to go until 2 or 3 days later. But those 2 or 3 days we're losing viewership.
Yeah.
You know? So stuff like that really hurt us this year. If you watched our videos this year and you were like, man, they took forever to get to House of the Dragon. Well, that was why, because we had the video done, but it was taking YouTube forever to like okay it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Season 3 of the Reactorverse Podcast, brought to you by Passion Fruit, where we interview all your favorite reactors in the reaction space. I'm joined today by the dynamic duo of Madison and Christian, otherwise known as Mac React. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been one I've been looking forward to for a long time. As I mentioned briefly off camera, I found you two a few years ago just through, looking through new channels, stuff like that. And when I started this podcast, you were one of the first ones I wanted to have on to talk to, just because I really loved your material and just everything you sort of brought to the space. That was about a year ago. Obviously, it's been a big year for you two for a lot of reasons, on and off camera, which I'm sure we'll get to. But I'm glad to have you here now, so I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, we're excited. We've only done one podcast before, so when you hit us up, we were really excited.
For sure.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that. So as usual, we usually start at the beginning of these things, which is even before the channel, for duos specifically. For you two, the first question I usually go with is, how did you two meet?
Well, we actually met at my job in, I want to say 2016.
Yep.
2016, I was a server. He was a barback. And I thought he was really cool and really cute, and we started hanging out, and I think maybe a few months after that we started dating, and yeah, it's just all history from there.
Yeah, it's the usual story. I always see the memes about that. Yeah, the server and the barback.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's how it went down. Yeah,
yeah. I'm glad it worked out for that one. And yeah, when we started, hanging out and stuff like that, was there any specific thing that you sort of connected on? First that you found like a mutual interest in?
Well, we had mutual friends, and so that's how we kind of started hanging out, was just the mutual friends. And then I thought he was really cool. I wasn't into basketball. He loved basketball and he loved playing it. So I started learning about sports and stuff. I found out I was pretty competitive and I like sports. And then other than that, we kind of bonded over video games and board games and stuff.
I would say music too. Like one of the first nights we hung out, Madison showed me she could sing really well. And my dad is in a band and I play music too. I've been playing drums since I was a little kid. So we kind of connected on that as well. And ever since then, we've just been together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now you have to give us a deep presentation. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
No, but yeah, as we can see, from your channel, you also have just a sort of mutual general interest in, movies, TV, Star Wars, DC, all the sort of like, big properties and franchises. And what were your sort of collective and separate backgrounds with those big IPs and, just like before the channel?
Well, I will say, so I had never seen Star Wars until I was probably about 17, and my friend was like, "You haven't seen Star Wars? That's un-American. So like you need to sit down and watch them all." But at the time, only the prequels and the originals were out. So I watched them all in chronological order instead of the order they were released. And I loved it. I fell in love with Anakin. I fell in love with the story, but it wasn't until I got with Christian and I basically discovered there's like a whole nother world of Star Wars that I just didn't know about. I had already known about Marvel and DC, but I wasn't, fully immersed in it and like knowing a lot of the lore and stuff. But then Christian showed me just all these different things. And I just fell in love. And so we started watching all these shows. He's like, oh, you haven't seen this? You haven't seen this? We got to watch them. And that's also, he showed me Game of Thrones as well. And I was literally in front of the TV, like crying my eyes out at season 1. So I feel like a lot of the reason, you know, I really love all these franchises is because Christian took the time to just sit down, explain things to me, and really show me what I was missing out on. And now I love it. It's like a part of me now.
I would say my experience was like the exact opposite. Madison really didn't get into this stuff until she was a little bit older. I had been watching Star Wars on VHS since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
My very first favorite toy was a Luke Skywalker lightsaber. My mom too, she's been into X-Men since she was a teenager. So when I was growing up, she showed me X-Men and Spider-Man. So this stuff has been with me pretty much like my entire life, really.
Yeah, and his mom actually has some of like the really, really old comics. And Christian was so mad when he was like, no, why did you let me take these comics? They're like classics. You could have sold them for so much money. But I mean, that just shows, you know, how much like he's been into the comic world and like all the Marvel and DC for so long. So yeah.
My dad had a similar experience when growing up. He told me, you know, he used to watch or collect X-Men and Marvel comics when Silver Age, you know, like the 60s and 70s, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And then one day he just came in and they were all gone. And he asked my grandma, and he was like, what happened to the box of stuff I had? She's like, oh, I burned it. She thought they were just like magazines, you know, just
my God.
She's like, just like cleaning them out and got rid of them.
That literally hurts my heart.
That's like salt in the wound too. Not even got rid of them. They're burned.
Yeah. Couldn't even go collect them. Collect the
you
ash.
couldn't go and find them at the Goodwill or wherever they were
That's
at.
crazy.
Oh.
Yeah. Was there any inverse experience, Madison? Was there anything you showed Christian as you were, showing things to each other? You know, that sort of shared experience in the early days.
Yes. So one cartoon that I was very obsessed with growing up was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I know it's not like super, super hype, but it was something that I watched with my mom a lot, and we really like enjoyed the show and we loved it so much. And so Christian, he knew of it growing up, and he was just like, I watch anime, so I know that this is just like American kind of anime a little bit.
I do remember like I had seen it on Nickelodeon growing up, but if you miss one episode, you're kind of lost as to where the next episode was going. So I'd see it on sometimes, but I would kind of like change the channel and stuff. It wasn't until she showed me, like sat me down and showed me from beginning to end that I fell in love with Avatar. And now we keep up with Avatar, we keep up with Korra and anything else that they're going to release in that world. We still enjoy, you know?
Yeah, it was kind of around COVID time, and we had pretty much watched like everything we could at that point, and they hadn't released anything new yet. I don't even think WandaVision had come out yet. And he was like, all right, I guess it's time for Avatar.
I'll do it, yeah.
And he loved it. He actually liked Korra too. So I was very happy that I got to show him something that he actually enjoyed, you know?
I will say not just that though. She has shown me like I had never seen Addams Family before I met her, or Beetlejuice before I met her, and that's kind of her domain, is like the creepy crawly stuff.
Yeah.
So she's shown me that stuff in all these years. I've definitely got caught up.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember your Halloween costume a couple years ago was the Chrissy Eddie costume. But it's almost the inverse of you two. It's like almost the opposite personalities of what you were representing at that time.
No, that's
and I
so
will say
true.
Avatar. Yeah, Avatar is definitely as hype as anything else. I think these days it's
Thank
such
you.
a huge property, has such a huge fan base. As I've seen, through even just reaction channels, people who are catching up on all of them. Avatar is definitely up there, and that kind of leads into the channel itself. What was the sort of origin of starting it? Was it like one idea that you want to introduce together? Was it a mutual decision you kind of came to?
Well, it was actually my idea. And when we first got together, I had shown her Game of Thrones. She didn't even know what it was. And she completely fell in love. And I had never seen anybody, like I've showed people shows before, but I've never seen anybody like get so invested in something that's new to them. It only took a few episodes before she was like crying and screaming at the TV screen and stuff. And I've always thought that her reactions were great. So when 2020 came around and the pandemic happened, I had been laid off of my job. She still had a job, but it was kind of like in limbo. She wasn't going to work anymore. And so we were just sitting at home thinking like, what can we do to try to make some money? You know, we got bills to pay. So I came back to the thought, let's maybe try a reaction channel, because I think your reactions are really great and people will kind of, respond to what you're putting out there. So that's how it kind of came to be. It was kind of a mixture of boredom and needing to pay bills and doing something that I thought wouldn't be so editing heavy, because at that point I didn't know anything editing wise. So it was kind of a mixture of all that stuff that kind of led to the channel being born, I guess.
Yeah, he kind of taught himself to edit too, like from scratch. So, but yeah, I just get really invested into the shows, and I'm very empathetic, obviously, because I do cry a lot. But it's only because I just really care about the characters and stuff. So he's like, I think people will like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you pretty familiar with the reaction space prior to that? Were there any specific channels you were sort of following or, looked at for what you were sort of framing yourself for?
A lot of the channels that kind of inspired us were a lot of the Game of Thrones channels that were out at like the height of Game of Thrones. I used to watch lots of the channels that we used to watch are not even around anymore because they were just Game of Thrones centric. And now that the show's over, they don't really post videos anymore. Yeah. But we still follow a lot of people. I was
going to say, we follow like at least like 10 of like the top reactors and stuff. And we tune in to see what everybody's watching. We also like watching that one guy who does the mashups of all the reactions.
Yeah, we watch those too. The mashup remixed by Raven.
J2O.
Yes, J2O. That's
J2O.
what it is. Yes, we love those too. Because those... even if we're not in them, we just like to watch them because it introduces us to other reactors in the same space,
That's true too. Yeah. Like, because so many new reactors come on the scene, like at different times and everything like that. And sometimes YouTube doesn't like push them on our recommended. So it's really cool when we get to watch those videos and find somebody new. Because I found a few people that I will tune into their reaction specifically because I think they're so funny. So yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful to get through the compilations. That's how I found a lot of people. That's how I found you as well. Just, being a part of that sort of mix of people. And you mentioned earlier, the editing and stuff like that. Were there any significant learning curves in terms of like the technical aspect, editing, recording, stuff like that, but also just the presentational aspect of, just being on camera and being sort of, present for the reactions?
Man, we could be here for hours talking about all the mishaps that have happened over the years. Just everything from learning how the microphones work to learning how editing.
I feel like audio was the hardest learning curve for you because there was so much to it.
Not just that, but in our first apartment, when we first started doing reactions, our wall, the back wall, had like the meters on it that would like power the rest of the apartment,
building,
the whole building. So every like 10 minutes that thing would turn on and it would just drown out all the sound in the room. So we would sometimes have to like pause and wait for it to stop and then resume and just like keep going like that over and over. So like little things like that. I mean, even till this day, we still have technical mishaps like the microphone unplugging every now and then, stuff like that.
I will say also too, something that was a learning curve was, because during the reaction, like when you're just watching it, I feel like you're relaxed, you're just sitting down, you're just watching a show, right? But when you're doing the intros and the outros, or like when you're doing the talking portion, you kind of have to be present and aware of how it is for him when he edits it. So that was like a learning curve too, just making sure everything sounds correctly, and then trying to figure out where you can like pick up and, add on to it. So yeah, I feel like that was a learning curve, but there's been a lot, but I feel like over the years, we've definitely gotten better and gotten a groove to it.
I will say one thing that did take us a little while, and I'm sure this is the same with a lot of YouTubers who are on camera, is it does take time to get comfortable on camera. Even though there's no one else in this room right now with us, like you can kind of sort of feel all the eyes on you like later down the line. So we would get anxious and kind of have anxiety about even recording some days. I think it took us like the first year or so before we really got over that and we could just be ourselves. But for that first year, it was a lot of just like overthinking what we're saying and what we're doing. And I feel like Will Ferrell, like I didn't know what to do with my hands. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. There's definitely a balance to strike, when you're getting into it, trying to be comfortable, but also trying to be, engaged with the material. Madison, like you said, finding that, those beats to insert, some of the commentary without, running over the show and stuff like that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It takes a long time. It takes a while to sort of find the rhythm. And once you did, once you were sort of into it, you mentioned the pandemic, coming in and being sort of a catalyst for you for the channel. That's true of most people, these days now. Like there's so many channels that popped up because they were at home, they had nothing to do. They needed, something to sort of fill the space with. And that's how, you came about and so many others as well. What was that first year like, I guess, balancing, the channel and all the things you were learning, but also just the craziness of the world and trying to sort of, adapt to all that?
I would say, it was pretty difficult because I was only out of work for maybe like a month and a half. So eventually I had to go back to work. And so I would be working 5 days a week. And then I would come home and then we would have to record something and then
long days.
Yeah. And then I think at that time, I also tried Twitch streaming for a little bit, which also took up a massive amount of time. Like it's just kind of crazy what the Twitch streamers do. And I just told Chris, I was like, I don't think I'm built for this. It's like sitting in a chair for like 4 hours trying to entertain somebody. So
on top of regular job, on top of doing the YouTube reactions, it was just a lot. I will also say that because of the pandemic, so many other people were home and our channel kind of exploded almost overnight.
Yeah.
Just because
we did the Mandalorian.
We did Mandalorian, the Luke Skywalker episode happened, and all of a sudden our channel went from getting like maybe 100 views to like thousands overnight. And dare I say it was too much too soon because once the world kind of opened back up and people started going back to work and stuff, our viewership started going back down because people weren't at home anymore.
Yeah.
And so YouTube saw that and the algorithm, I guess, was like, well, you guys aren't doing as hot anymore. So we're going to kind of punish you with the impressions and stuff. And so it's kind of been, ever since that first year, it's kind of been an ongoing tug of war battle between what YouTube wants us to do and what we can do with the time we have, so it's definitely been a struggle.
And you have to remember too, like the main shows that came out in 2020, no other shows were coming out. So we had WandaVision, we had The Mandalorian, and then
Loki season 1,
and then
Invincible,
and Squid Game.
Squid Game was big.
Squid Game was so big. We had so many people tuning in. I think they even used a clip of me crying on the Gonbu episode.
On a Korean news channel.
On a Korean news channel because they were like, look at this girl. She's losing her mind, So our channel did take off very quickly. So yeah, I would agree with Christian on that. It has been kind of a tug of war battle to try and get back to where we were, but also do it within the time that we have. Because, now we have a kid, so our time is a little bit less. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Similar to the work itself. The meta, work of maintaining it. Is a huge balance to find. Just because, like you said, in that first year, everyone's at home, and that's why a lot of channels really sort of blew up and had the audience there. And then, you're not alone. Definitely, I've seen other channels sort of like feel that sort of like rubber band snap back. After everyone went back to work and everything started kind of going back to normal. But it's like you said, it's important to find the balance of what you can achieve with what you can't put into it, because I've seen a lot of people burn out very quickly trying to chase that number that they started with and be like, how can I get back there, and sort of wear themselves out trying to just do that. So it's good to find your own limitations within that. I would always tell everyone. And you mentioned, like you said, at that time there were only so many shows like The Mandalorian and WandaVision that sort of held the fandoms together for the year that we were sort of in the dark era.
The dark era.
I spoke to other channels and they sort of mentioned how those shows were like, big water cooler moments us, to get back into the zeitgeist of things. Because when you have that new episode of WandaVision pops out, you can go online, everyone's talking about it, everyone's sort of vibing on it, the reactions are coming out, and that's how I found you, with the J2O reactions. He was finding new people to put into those reactions as well. And do you recall any point early on where you felt that you were sort of like, now in the mix of things, in the mix of sort of the fandoms coming back into play after that first year of the pandemic?
Yeah, I think we definitely felt that during The Mandalorian first. Like, we got a little taste of it, and then Squid Game happened, and we were just getting so many messages and so many comments from people. Like, we could not keep up. And then WandaVision happened, and every week there was a new thing to talk about, a new thing to theorize about. And those shows really just like fueled all the hype around our channel and other people's channels. And it went for so long, but I also think at some point it did kind of fizzle out because of, I guess, the direction of the MCU and people going back to work and stuff. So it has been hard, definitely.
Yeah. I think at that time, with WandaVision, the MCU was just in such a sort of uncharted territory. Like, the sort of sky was the limit in terms of what we could expect of where it would go. Now I think it's a little bit of a known quantity of what we can expect from a show, what it can give us in terms of like, schedule, or like, like innovations, stuff like that. So it's definitely shifted a bit. And have there been, and you mentioned Squid Game possibly, but have there been any shows or films you've watched specifically because of the channel, like otherwise you would have known about or might not have you given a chance?
Definitely the League of Legends openings, because we watched Arcane and everybody loved our reactions to Arcane because, I mean, obviously I cried my eyes out episode 3, but so everybody told us, hey, well, if you like this show, you should watch some of the League of Legends openings, and people loved that. And we had no idea like how many there were and all this stuff. So
I would say there's actually a ton of stuff we watched that we would have never even known about. I mean, right now we're watching Vox Machina. We didn't even know what that was. League of Legends, like she said, Invincible, people told us about.
Invincible was great.
Even the movies we've watched, like people voted on those. Like Predator, we had never seen that. Ghostbusters, we had never seen that. Indiana Jones, we had never seen that stuff. So I'm really thankful for our viewers and our subscribers and stuff, because these movies and these shows and stuff mean a lot to us now, and we would have never even known if it wasn't for them.
True, like the Tim Burton Batman films, we loved them, especially me, because I love Tim Burton, and then you mix it with Batman and it's like, bro, that's us.
That's
like,
a recipe for success.
Yes, that's a recipe for success. So, I mean, we have gotten so many great recommendations. Like, I do feel I am a critter now, which is what Vox Machina fans are. So yeah, I'm just very thankful that our fans have taken the time to give us really good recommendations, and we try and fit as many as we can, into our show lineups. But again, we are balancing like what time we have and how many recommendations we've had on certain shows. So, but yeah,
that's the other thing too. There have been recommendations that we just could not get to. True. Even to this day, we still get, hey, when are you guys going to watch this? Or hey, when are you guys going to watch that? Yeah. And it's like, I don't want to tell them we're not, Like,
It's a good problem to have, lots of options, but you got to space it out. I was just watching your reaction to The Raid last night, actually, just to sort of catch up on some things. I've been meaning to watch it, but like the watching reaction with the subtitles, it takes like sort of dedication for
it does,
for me. So I finally got it, and I love that movie so much. I always love seeing people react to that one. That's one of my favorite action films.
Another one that was actually recommended to us. We had no idea what The Raid even was.
I had never heard of that movie, and honestly, I mean, the choreography was fantastic. It was a great film.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And what is your sort of experience, going into, say, something that you haven't seen before, you don't know of, it's pretty much completely blind, as opposed to like something familiar, like a Star Wars or DC or Marvel project? Like, what is that sort of like, approach you have going into something that's just completely new for you? And what is that experience like?
I would say it's actually easier because there are no expectations on us. I think at this point, like a little over 4 years into our channel, people kind of expect us to know stuff about the MCU, DC,
Marvel,
Star Wars,
all that,
Game of Thrones and stuff like that. Like they know that we're knowledgeable to a point, and so they expect us to not miss things or not be wrong about things. And so when we are, people get a little bit upset. But when it's something completely new, they are a little more willing to give us wiggle room if we're wrong about stuff. Like I know we watched Dune a year or two ago when it first came out.
Yeah.
And we had never read Dune, never seen the old 80s movie. We knew nothing about it. And we were getting stuff wrong while we watched it. But people were just really cool about it because they knew we were new to everything. So
also, I will say like our fans, whenever it is something new that we don't know about, I think they actually enjoy telling us about all the things that we missed or like helping us understand the movie or the show. Whatever it may be, like I think they do enjoy telling us stuff and having us learn from them.
Yeah.
Because they're more knowledgeable on it. And I think part of the reason they like our channel is because they like to talk to us about it, because that was our favorite part of like Game of Thrones or, when WandaVision came out, for example, it's the theorizing, like what could happen, all those things. So I feel like our fans really do enjoy it when we don't know anything, because then they can educate us. So it's really fun.
Right. Yeah, it does. It's like that natural engagement of like, trying to learn from them, and they get to sort of, enlighten you on things that they know about. Well, and similar to that, what would you say is the difference between, say a TV reaction and a film reaction? Not just in terms of, obviously it's a lot more work to record and edit, but also just the experience, like, those sort of, a film is like one whole package to sit through. A TV show is like, the ongoing package of episode to episode. Like, what would you say the difference is there?
I actually think sometimes there's not much difference, because what people don't realize is sometimes we're watching episodes in batches. Like you'll see our clothes not change because we sat down and watched 3 or 4 episodes in a row. So sometimes it equals like the same amount of time a movie would have been.
Gotcha.
And in that regard, I guess the work is sort of the same. The only thing with the movies is, like you said, the amount of time it takes to sit down in one sitting and watch it all. For us, especially now that we have a son, he's 1 year old. We do have to find a babysitter and stuff. Yeah. Because
a movie takes longer because you have the length of the movie. If it's 2 hours, you still have the 10 minutes in the beginning, 10 to 15 minutes on a discussion, and then the outro, like where we say, like and subscribe or whatever. So I feel like it is a longer process. So whatever the movie is, add like 30 more minutes on top of that, and that's our session. But I will say for movies and TV shows, the only difference I really feel is that in a TV show, I don't have to wait as long. If I have a question or if I have a thought, I don't have to wait that long to discuss it at the end. But if it's a movie, I have to try and remember like 3 or 4 points or things that I want to talk about.
That's true.
At the end, and it's a lot longer of a time period. And then movies like Dune, I mean, we have to take breaks. Like, we have an intermission and then we go to the restroom, have a drink of coffee or something, and then we get right back into it. But yeah, I just feel like that's the one difference I have to prepare for, is like remembering all the things I want to talk about at the end because the movie's longer.
I will say, when it comes to like the editing portion, movies are way harder, but not because of the time it necessarily takes. Like that is a hurdle too. But with the movies, I found movies get copyright claimed more than anything else. Right. So TV shows, I can just like pump out. And I'm not really worried about them getting copyright claimed. Movies, sometimes they'll get claimed 8, 9, 10 times. And I'm just like, what do y'all want? I keep editing the movie. Like, what do you want from me? So that is a hurdle for movies too, definitely.
Yeah. Especially studio to studio, they have different sort of, guidelines, strictness of like, how they're looking at those things.
WB, I'm looking at you.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah. I did a edit for Dune Part 2 for a channel. I had to go through 20 revisions of just trying to get that up.
It's like that sometimes.
It was a lot. Yeah. So you got to be prepared for it. And you mentioned your son. Obviously that's a big development, this past year. I guess what was that like, obviously when your son's coming, it's on the way, and then deciding, how do you go and balance the channel, your work, everything? Because the baby takes priority, 100%. But like, to just keep things going, for the sake of having this as your own sort of project, what was the sort of mindset sort of approaching that?
I think initially we actually thought about just ending the channel because this was our first kid. We had no idea like what to expect just parenting wise. We kind of assumed we would have no time. But
in the beginning he slept a lot, so we were able to get shows done. Now this was all planning on Christian's part because I was pretty much full in on trying to figure out how to take care of a baby and be a mom and stuff. So Christian kind of planned ahead and was like, okay, we can do these shows because they're shorter around this time, because he didn't want to ask too much of me like right after having a baby and during the pregnancy, I would say, because I would get so tired, I'd come home and pass out. Like I couldn't even stay awake. I was so exhausted. So we would kind of have to plan our shows around that. But I feel like it has gotten better now that we have help and people to watch him. But in the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, is he down for a nap? All right, okay, we can record, and he would sometimes just be in the room, like asleep right off camera,
I think even once he just would not go down for a nap one day.
He had to wear him.
Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, in one episode, I'm actually wearing him. He's like on me sleeping as we're watching the episode. So we've definitely had to like move things around, plan around it. But I think it's made us better at planning too. Because before we were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Like, oh, do we have some free time today? Let's record.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like, okay, Thursday, we have this going on. Friday, we're taking him to my mom's so we can watch this. And then Saturday, we're taking him to my sister's so we can watch this. So I think in a way, it's kind of made us better YouTubers because now we're more strict about planning and stuff like that.
I agree.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, it can like sort of whip you into shape of like, we got to make sure we're following this regiment. Otherwise, things can really get out of hand very quickly. And I've heard from other channels, like, scheduling is sort of like, the secret weapon towards, just sort of like maintaining this thing.
I was going to say, it's actually, it's even harder because people kind of, they don't really know what's going on with us on a day-to-day basis. And they just kind of expect like, okay, if Agatha's out on Wednesday, I want to see y'all on Thursday. And like, they don't get that.
We have to watch it on Thursday.
Yeah, we watch it on Thursday because somebody can take the baby on Thursday. So I do get a little bit of frustration sometimes from our viewers just because like they expect it from us because some other channel already posted it. So it's like, where are you guys?
But also back in the day before we had the baby, we would watch, like if a show premiered on Wednesday at like, maybe 6 o'clock or whatever, we'd be watching it that night at like 10 or 11. So, and then Christian would stay up all night, edit it so that it was ready for the next morning. So I think it's also them getting used to
what we used to be able to do and we're not able to do anymore.
And what we can do now. Yeah. So it is a little bit different, but we try and get up everything as quickly as possible because, we enjoy these shows as much as our fans do. And, we want to talk to them about it as well and hear what they have to say. So,
yeah, it's a bit conditioning for the fans to sort of understand that.
Yeah.
I think any sort of channel that I know that has been around for a long time will tell you like that, midnight hustle is not sustainable, for indefinitely. You eventually have to get to an equilibrium where you can be like, I'm going to watch it when it's good for us, because we have families, we have, other people on the channel to prioritize, that we can't be up, till 3 a.m. every night doing this when we have other things to worry about. I think the viewers eventually understand that. They eventually catch on like, okay, that's your rhythm now. Like you mentioned, just having the ability now to have sitters and stuff like that to watch. I've been enjoying like the Vox Machina reactions and everything sort of coming back out now. Have you been able to find a good rhythm with everything the last the few months since your son's birthday?
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten a really good groove. Thursdays and Fridays are mostly our recording days. Sometimes we throw something in on Saturday if we need to, but
we try to get as much recording in like one sitting as we can because we know we can't really do it that many days. So we'll set the time aside and just try to pump out as much as we can. We'll drink a Monster Energy and just pump out as many as we can.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, Eric from Passion Fruit. Just wanted to thank you for tuning into this episode of Reactorverse. To everyone who's commented on our videos, shared our work, or otherwise supported the channel, we see you, we appreciate you, and we've got a lot of exciting things coming for the creator community at Passion Fruit. If you haven't already, the usual stuff on YouTube always helps us. Hitting that like button and subscribing with the bell so you'll be notified when new videos come out. We also have a bi-weekly Passion Fruit newsletter that focuses on the creator industry, which you can sign up for through the link in the video description and the pinned comment. Twice a week, you'll get our best stories, as well as exclusive interviews, expert reviews, and the latest resource guides to help you navigate every stage of the creator journey. We've even got a weekend newsletter on the way, with a curated creator spotlight that focuses on the best online content from the people who make it, you. Thanks again for supporting Passion Fruit and Reactorverse and helping make your content your business, and giving love to the people who make the web.
Coming into, say, the fourth year of your channel, I believe, since 2020, have you, what would you say are the sort of biggest, lessons you've learned along the way, just in terms of your approach, your practice with it?
I would say consistency is really key. Just making sure you're posting at least a couple or a few videos a week, so that people kind of know, okay, these guys are serious. I'll subscribe because I know once I'm off work, there will be something for me to watch.
Yeah.
Just staying up to date with that stuff.
Giving yourself credit when credit's due. I feel like sometimes we're a little hard on ourselves. Like if we can't get something up at like a certain time, or we couldn't get this one recording done, we just have to give ourselves some grace, because in the earlier days of the channel, we would, grind it out. We would try and bust our asses, to get all these videos up, so quickly. And I feel like now we've given ourselves a little grace and we're like, okay, well, I know it might upset a few people, but we just have to do what's best for us. So that's, I think, one thing that I've learned,
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, prioritizing your own personal investment in this is the best thing, because you can't always just adhere to what is expected, because that's how you burn out very quickly.
Yeah,
for things
true.
like this.
And we've dealt with burnout before too, so it's not fun. And it sometimes, people's comments saying how they're appreciative of what we're doing. I know we're not curing cancer, or we're not doctors or firefighters, but I do feel like at some small point we do help people get off work, come home, relax, and just watch some entertainment. It's not that serious, so
yeah. And I was gonna say, we have this one fan in particular, she was injured, so she was kind of stuck at home for months on end. And none of her friends actually watch the same shows that she watches. So that's how she found our channel. And now her and I are like besties. We talk on Instagram a lot. But that's one of those things that, I feel like made our channel good, or like made people want to follow our channel, is that, they felt like they were hanging out with us and watching something with us, and they could talk to us about it if they wanted to. Because I try my hardest to get to all the comments and stuff, because I feel bad when I don't answer one. But yeah, I feel like that is one thing too that people enjoy.
It helps avoid the burnout, knowing that people are really appreciative of what we're doing, because even though I don't see any of those people on a day-to-day basis, I can feel what they're feeling through their comments and stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's in my opinion, being in this sort of game for so long, I've definitely seen really positive impact through just the reaction space specifically, especially in just the in terms of what the internet sort of has evolved into over the last decade or so. There is just a genuine sort of safe space around being able to come together over a shared interest or shared material that you're passionate about, and connect with people in that way, because otherwise the internet can be a very big disconnector in a way, despite having us plugged into each other all the time. I want to ask our final two questions we have here. What has been the biggest obstacle that you guys have faced in your time with the channel?
The algorithm.
I was just about to say the algorithm, because when we took off for me being pregnant and everything, when we got, I think we had recorded our last video maybe a week before I gave birth. So we tried to, push those recordings as long as we could. And it was Ahsoka, I believe. And then we
left in the middle of Ahsoka. That's what it was.
Yeah, we left in the middle of Ahsoka because I had to have the baby, And that kind of hit our channel hard, because, it was really hard for me to actually just sit in one place. I know that sounds weird, but it was just a lot. So Christian didn't want to ask that of me. He's like, no, I want you to just relax and have fun with the baby. And also he was learning to be a dad too. So he wanted to be present and there.
I wanted time off too. So we took like 2 months off from the channel.
Yeah.
Thinking not much of it. And then
we tried to release movies periodically to, help out. But
ultimately we didn't post a video for like a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months. And so when we came back, I kind of just thought everything would go back to normal. And I realized like the algorithm didn't like that we took time off at all. Like it's an unfeeling thing. It's not a person that understands our situation. So it just looks at the numbers and went, oh, you guys have been gone. So we're not going to give y'all as many impressions as you were getting before, which hurts viewership and views and stuff, which hurts us being able to pay bills and stuff. So it's definitely been a challenge this last year since we had the baby to just try to get things back where they were. And not just that one incident, but there was an incident this year where we were watching The Boys, and Billy Butcher in the show, he has a favorite word that's a cuss word, and it got into one of our videos somehow. I guess I wasn't paying attention, and a certain word got into the video, and
then I repeated it.
And YouTube just clamped down hard on us for like a month and a half. Every video that we posted had to go through a human check. So we would post a video and then it wouldn't be like good to go until 2 or 3 days later. But those 2 or 3 days were losing viewership.
Yeah.
So stuff like that really hurt us this year. If you watched our videos this year and you were like, man, they took forever to get to House of the Dragon. Well, that was why, because we had the video done, but it was taking YouTube forever to like okay it.
Also, I do believe there was that word in House of the Dragon as well.
Probably.
And so that just made it even worse, so I think that's been kind of something.
Also, we weirdly got a strike for we had never been struck before, but we got a copyright strike for Puss in Boots.
The Last Wish.
The Last Wish. DreamWorks got us, and I did notice viewership going down once we got that strike. So I think it was kind of like a black mark on us in a small way. So all year we've just been trying to like put that behind us and just keep pressing forward. You know?
Right. Yeah. Those strikes and such can definitely hamper like your ability to sort of the reach that you can get towards other people. So it can be a big one. How would you say you've personally grown over the years with the channel?
I think a way that we've grown with the channel is that things don't take as long. I mean, like we'll have a long recording, but we have such a groove to it. Like before we even sit down, Chris already knows what he's going to say for the intro, or if he knows what he wants me to say, he'll be like, hey, I'm going to have you say this. And then we can pretty much memorize it very quickly. The outro thing I say at the end, I've pretty much got that memorized. I could do it in my sleep. So I feel like things are a lot quicker now. There's less mistakes, like with lighting or the cameras, or every now and then we'll have something with the microphones because microphones have a mind of their own. But I feel like for the most part, there's less issues like on the technical side, especially because Chris understands how to edit now. He understands all the little, details of it. So any little thing he can go and fix it. So I think that's how we've grown.
Also, I think personally, like we mentioned earlier, we're just way better at planning and stuff. It's almost been like boot camp or something in a way that we've just kind of been whipped into shape.
Yeah.
Either like it's not going to happen or you're going to plan and make it happen.
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of gone into like our whole lives too, not just the recording aspect of what we do, but like, what does the baby need today? Or like, do we need to go grocery shopping today? Or anything that we do, we have to plan around everything that we do now.
Yeah, like our organizational skills, I feel like have gotten a lot better over the past 4 years. And because it had to. Like if you have no organization and you try and start a YouTube channel, you're going to drown. You're going to drown, just like you talked about earlier. You're going to burn out, very quickly. Because it can seem overwhelming. You have all these things you need to do. You have all these things you need to check. So yeah, it can get overwhelming, but I feel like over these past 4 years, Chris and I have both grown and gotten a lot better at all of those things.
YouTube has this way of being like make or break.
Yeah.
And I think creators kind of realize that pretty quickly once they've started.
Yeah. Especially like you were saying, like a lack of time off, things like that. It's just hard to sort of just wing it at a certain point. Expect to come back with any sort of results. Last question is that beyond any monetary or financial value, what is the most rewarding aspect of the channel for you?
The people that I've met. We have some people that we've met on, through our Instagram, because some of the people who make it all the way to the end of our video, they find out we have an Instagram and then they go and follow the Instagram and they can message us and it's always me answering. But I feel like I've met just such great people. We've had people even, make us art and send it to us. I feel like we've met some really great people over the years and we've heard some great stories from them. And I really enjoy it. Those human interactions we get with people makes me feel better, because sometimes I'm hard on myself and sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough. So hearing that from people that they really love our reactions and they love getting to talk to us and hear from us, it really does make me feel better. And it makes me feel like I'm doing something that I should be doing,
Right. Something that kind of sort of helps people in a weird way.
Yeah, but it also helps me too. So I really enjoy it.
I think the conversation aspect of the channel too, because like not all of our friends watch the shows that we watch.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I think we have one other friend who watches Vox Machina.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be able to talk about stuff with people who kind of understand and get the shows that we're watching, which is weird because I know that's why people watch our channel too, so they can get that conversation. But like we're right here along. We dig having the long theorized talks about the shows that we watch and love.
I was going to say, it's funny because sometimes Chris will come to me and he'll be like, oh my God, this guy just commented. You got to hear what he just said.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
And then he'll come to me and then we'll literally talk for like 20 minutes about what they just said. And we're like, dang, I didn't even see it from that point. Like, so you get all these different viewpoints and things like that. And it kind of opens up our mind to just different ideas and stuff that we wouldn't have thought of. And we're so grateful for that,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it goes both ways of just the interactions that you can have with people, 100%. And we do have our final questionnaire here, which is just 10 questions down the line for both of you. You can put the answer if you like. The first question is, what is your favorite film of all time?
Ooh.
The Craft.
That's a great one.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Man, that is so hard.
It's a hard question. I was going to say, I think I normally have like a top 10, but if I have to pick a movie that I could probably watch over and over again, it'd either be Addams Family, the 1992, or The Craft.
I need like 10 more seconds.
Sure.
I guess like if I'm on a deserted island, I have one movie to watch.
Oh, I'm interested to hear what this one is, because we've asked each other these questions too.
Yeah.
I guess this is going to sound cliche, but I guess Return of the Jedi.
Of course it is. Of course
That's
it
a good
is.
one. Yeah.
Just never gets old.
Yeah. It's timeless. Second question is, what's your favorite show of all time?
Show. Oof. It would have been Game of Thrones had it not been for
season 8.
That last season.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, favorite show of all time.
That is, oof. That's difficult.
I can't say Great British Bake Off.
Great British Bake Off. Hey, we do love some Great British Bake Off.
GBB.
I can count. Yeah.
Okay.
Brings you joy.
Favorite show. Dang it.
That is extremely hard.
That's actually really hard. Okay, no. My favorite show would probably be Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I have watched that show 20 times through. I don't even know how many times. I was there on Thanksgiving weekend in 2007 when they released the final 3 episodes on Nickelodeon for the Book of Fire. So
Yeah.
I would argue that's my favorite. Actually, for my 28th birthday, Christian got me a little video from the guy who voices Iroh, the second voice actor, where he wished me happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I cried. I was like in
awesome.
tears. I felt so much honor.
Iroh spoke to me.
Iroh spoke to me. Yeah. So I would say my favorite show would probably be that.
Actually, I have an answer that I think Madison is going to say is both of our favorite show of all time.
Oh.
Community.
Community. It's Community.
Community is like my number one favorite show of all time. I could watch it 100 million times.
We have watched it 100 million
Yep,
times.
and it never gets old. It still hits.
We catch a new joke every time we watch it, and we quote it at least once a day. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great one. Yeah. Third question is, what stresses you out?
Too many shows being out at the same time.
Yeah.
What stresses me out?
I'm like, oh my God, there's this just came out and this just came out and this just came out and this just came out. We can only pick two.
Yeah.
So which ones are we gonna do? You know?
This year was like The Boys, House of the Dragon, like
that
everything.
stretch.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That was rough on us. Yeah.
That was rough. What stresses me out?
Not being able to find her eyelashes
Oh my God.
before we're about to
Wherever I
record.
put them, I have ADHD. And so like I'll forget where I put things, but I'll put them in a weird place because I'll be like, oh, I'll remember that. And then I don't. So that's always fun.
It's time to record. And she's like, where's my eyelashes?
I can't find my lashes. So yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. That makes sense. What helps you relax?
I like drinking tea and sitting outside with a book and lighting some incense. That's always something that relaxes me.
I like watching football.
That does not relax him. It does not relax him. If anything, it just puts him to sleep. He watches
That's
for
relaxing.
That's relaxing.
yeah, like he watches it for so long and then he gets so hyped for a while and then all the energy has just released from his body. And
At 12, I'm right there in front of the TV like, let's go football. And then by 3 p.m. I'm like, I'm just out.
Yeah, it's that adrenaline rush. Helps you come down. Yeah. What is the hobby or passion you have outside of TV and film?
Madison's a great baker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I like baking. That is like a little hobby of mine. Another one is I really love gardening. It's just really hard to have time for that now that I have a son.
Right.
And then what was my other hobby? Yeah, I mean gardening, baking, I really enjoy those things. And singing. That is just one thing I love to do. I've always loved to do, and I do it every day.
I say for me, I've always played drums, but recently I've been teaching myself how to play bass guitar. So
nice.
That's been a lot of fun. But other than that, we play video games.
I guess that's a hobby of yours. Card collecting. Christian is a very avid sports card collector. Pokemon
cards. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some pretty cool stuff.
That's another thing we do. Pokemon Go. We play the hell out of Pokemon Go.
Okay,
or she does.
I'll add you guys on there.
Oh my God,
Let's
please.
go, yeah.
Please add me. But yeah, those are some things that we really like to do. And I was going to say, I didn't actually get into Pokemon until I met Chris in 2016 and Pokemon Go came out.
I'm an original Pokemon kid. I was there in 98 when it started.
Same.
Yeah. He's an original Pokemon kid. I wasn't like super into it. I thought they were cute, but I didn't fully understand, kind of because the episodes would come on TV, but they weren't all in order. So I didn't understand. But yeah, I love it now.
Yeah, I was there too. I remember when I was a kid, my dad came home one day. He's like, "Hey, my coworker of mine gave me this," and it was like a VHS tape, and it was like a propaganda Pokemon tape where it's like, "Hey kids, here's this new sensation coming to America like this fall. The Pokemon is like, here's the card games, here's the video games, here's the TV show, here's everything." It was like this introduction tape for kids to learn what Pokemon is, just to prep you to be a good consumer.
I gotta look that up. I need to see this.
Yeah, you can find it online. Yeah, if you put like YouTube, like Pokemon intro tape or something like that, I'm sure someone has it up there.
That's crazy.
I'll have to check it out.
Christian's like, I didn't even need that. I was already in the moment I saw it.
Next question is, what fictional character do you relate to or just care deeply about?
Fictional character.
I'm going to answer for you. For Madison, it's for sure Wanda.
Wanda or I really love Anakin.
Wanda and Anakin.
I don't relate to Anakin. Like, I've never killed Jedi younglings and I've never, all of those things. But for some reason, his story arc is just, it's so important. Like you could be trying to do all the right things for all the right reasons. Same with Wanda. I think that's also why I would choose Wanda, because you could be trying to do all these things for the right reason and then you see yourself kind of turned into the villain.
Yeah.
So I think those stories are really important. And I love Wanda and love Anakin. I tried to convince Christian to name our son Anakin, and he was like, no. No, we're not gonna do that. And I was like, dang it, I tried.
It's so funny how the tables turn. You think, like so many years ago it would be the opposite way. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
For me, any characters I really
relate to. Ones that you really like. I think I mean, not to sound cliche, but I think you would probably relate to Luke because you watched him growing up your whole life as a kid. Somebody that he definitely idolized, I think, as a kid, and taught him, because like there's that important thing in the movie where Luke, he's not supposed to want to kill anybody. And then he's like, I'm going to kill Darth Vader. But then he finds out it's his father and he's like, I'm going to try and save him. And I think that is an important thing that has always stuck with Christian. Like, you can be a bad person, but like there's a path to redemption. So I think that is one thing that Chris has told me that he really cares about Luke for.
I would also say probably Peter Parker.
Oh.
Just because ever since I was a kid, I watched the Amazing Spider-Man cartoon show, and then I was all about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
He showed me the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Me and my friends would go to the opening nights to see Tobey. I even liked the Andrew Garfield ones. So when No Way Home came out and all the Spider-Man were in the movie, I straight up was shedding tears in the theater because all those dudes just meant so much to me. The character means so much to me. So I guess that would be my answer.
Yeah, and I was going to say Peter Parker is, he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but he does so much. And the whole, with great power comes great responsibility. I think that's also kind of mirroring Luke Skywalker too.
And he never really gets like much credit, in his community and stuff. He wears the mask so people don't even know who he is. Yeah. And he's just a regular guy walking around the street half the time.
Yeah, it's about doing good, even if you're not going to get the credit and recognition for it. I think that's important. So definitely two people that I think Chris relates to a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great answers. Fantastic. What is your guilty pleasure show or film?
Oh, God.
Oh, what we're watching right now. What We Do in the Shadows.
I love What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah.
We just discovered it. And there's 6 seasons now, and we're just binge watching it all.
Also, I think another show, I know some people are going to think it's cringe. I don't care. I really love the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. Just because when I found out there was a comic for it, I kind of like looked that up and read up on it. And then I watched the show, and there's so many good actors and actresses in that show. I just really love it. It's my guilty pleasure. I've already seen it like 4 times, and here we are. It's Halloween, and I'm rewatching it again. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely love both those shows. Did you see the Riverdale crossover that they had?
No, but I heard that Riverdale, I mean, they mention it multiple times in the Sabrina show, but I never watched Riverdale when it was out because I thought it was just some weird, I don't even know what I thought it was. I just was like, I don't want to watch that.
It's a bit zany, but yeah.
And then I heard it kind of like mixes in with Sabrina. So I'm like, dang it, now I got to go watch it.
I got to watch it.
Yeah.
Those are both great. And I love What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah, I've been watching it since
it's hilarious.
It's just such a fun show.
I love it. I wish it was real, honestly. So
yeah. I mean, Matt Berry, who plays Laszlo, is just such a hilarious actor.
You're the most devious man in New York City. I love him. I love him.
I wish he would blow up more. Wish he could do more.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
What show or film gave you your favorite reaction experience with the channel?
Our favorite reaction experience, like a show that we reacted to and we really enjoyed the experience.
That you remember fondly. It was like a great experience watching it, or with the fans or community or something like that. Yeah.
Man, honestly, so many. But
I would say
one.
I'm gonna have to choose probably 3. Vox Machina for sure, because I didn't know anything about that show. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with everything. It makes me want to play D&D. Another one would be Squid Game, because I really enjoy Korean TV, just a lot of Korean stuff. I'm always about it. And I felt like that show was really well done. I didn't, I always pride myself on like catching things pretty early and like seeing how things are going to end. And I couldn't. In that show, I was completely just blindsided, right? And then the third one would have to be Arcane, because it was something I had never heard of. Like, I knew of League of Legends, but I didn't. That's about as far as I knew. And just the things I've heard from the fans, just like all these different things. I thought it was such a fun experience. I loved the animation style of the show, and I'm just counting down the days until November when we get season 2. So I feel like those 3 were my favorite reaction experience, besides WandaVision, I guess.
I will throw an honorable mention in there, because the 3 you mentioned had a lot of viewers kind of hit us up and talk to us. I think that was the fun aspect of watching those shows.
Yeah.
The honorable mention, I would say, is Wednesday, because we had so much fun figuring out who the killer was way ahead of, like, before they revealed it.
Yeah.
Right? I know not everybody likes us to go through like frame by frame and like pick things apart, but we like to do that. So I would say Wednesday was a really fun show just for its kind of murder mystery vibe and allowing us to pick apart the clues so that we could figure out who the killer was early.
Yeah.
True. And I was going to say, like, Chris was kind of weary of that show when it first came out, because he's like, I'm not a fan of the Addams Family. I showed him Addams Family after that, and he was like, okay, like, it's all right. But the cast of this Addams Family, he loved it. Like, Luis Guzman as Gomez was fantastic. I mean, everybody knocked it out of the park, and, Chris was laughing so hard. So that was a good reaction experience. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. My girlfriend and I also do the same thing. We'll turn a 2-hour mystery movie into a 5-hour experience of just pausing and being like, hold on, wait, they had this thing here. Now, where this thing was this supposed to be. We've definitely done that before.
It's fun. It's so fun.
Yeah. If there's a movie called Last of Sheila, it's a murder mystery type movie. Yeah, if you ever have time to watch that, just on your own, it's a really fun experience. The payoff can be questionable, but it's a really fun experience to sort of pick through. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Last of Sheila.
Last of Sheila. I'll remember that.
What show or film do you wish you could erase from your memory and react to again for the first time on camera?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, because we never reacted to that for the channel. We've reacted to House of the Dragon, but people even to this day ask for us to watch Game of Thrones, and I'm like, man, we don't really, like, we're not actors, we're reactors, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to watch something we've already watched and know what to expect from. Like, it's not surprising.
And I can't forget it, because I mean, when we were waiting for season 7 or 8, I think it was maybe 8, I was off the deep end, obsessed. Like, I mean, Christian had the show on his computer, and I would watch it, just rewatch it every single day. I think I've rewatched the show like 5 or 5
times.
Yeah, 5 or 6 times. So that was one show that I had so much fun, like, theorizing and picking things out. And I felt like, Christian, there was like seasons that I hadn't watched yet that he had, and I would kind of pick things apart, and I'd be like, oh, this is going to happen. And Christian was like, dang it, you need to stop figuring things out. So that would have been a really cool show to react to for the channel. It just sucks.
also what we mentioned earlier, Community. I do wish, not even like for the channel or anything, I just wish for myself I could erase my memory of Community
and watch it again.
Yeah, those are great picks for sure. And our last question here is, what advice would you give to your past self if you can go back in time when you first started the channel?
Advice I would give myself: be patient. Just be patient with yourself. You're learning new things. Every day is a new experience. So just, take it day by day and don't be too hard on yourself. That's what I would tell myself.
I think that's good. Yeah. Cause lots of days I would spend, pulling all-nighters, trying to get multiple videos done. Those first couple of years, we were really hard on ourselves and we really ran ourselves ragged.
We're kind of like in our own time. We try not to be, but we are a little bit perfectionists, and we want to make good videos that people want to watch. And so, we would kind of beat ourselves up really hard, if things didn't work out the way we wanted to, and or something happened with the microphones, and just give yourself some grace. Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't be so hard on yourself. So I think that would be one thing I would tell my past self.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic advice for past and future people as well, for anyone's getting into this game. Madison Christian, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time and all your thoughts and insight today. Where can we find you online, on your YouTube channel, social media, otherwise?
So we have the YouTube channel, Mac React. And then we also have our Instagram, which is the same as the YouTube. It's Mac React. And that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it. We do still have a Patreon up, but we stopped posting stuff over there just because it was causing burnout trying to keep up with the channel and keep up with the Patreon.
Yeah.
But if anybody messages us on Patreon, like, we still have it. So we do see those messages. And honestly, it's one of the easier ways to get in touch with us.
Yeah, because so the Instagram, I try and get to all the messages I can, but there are a lot of people who will come on the Instagram and then they'll message me, and then like people that I had previously messaged go, way down. So it does kind of get a little overwhelming. I wish there was like an easier way.
But the YouTube and the Instagram are the main two ways to reach us.
Perfect. Yeah. You can find me at Nerd Chronic across social media. You can find us at Passion Fruit for Us across social media as well. You can find us in our Discord and Patreon, and the links below in the video. And we'll catch everyone on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.